Before I lived here on this haunted mountain, I was walking through the valley on my own. Darkness all around me. I looked to the sky and saw you wreathed all around in a golden cloud. All of my life I've been around it, traveling across this green land. But now that I live here on this haunted mountain, I know I'm never coming down. No, I'm never coming down. I'm never coming down again. Every dewdrop on this haunted mountain is like a tiny crystal ball. Early in the morning, I peer into the living leaves and prophesy with the light of dawn. All of my life I've been around it, traveling across this green land. But now that I live here on this haunted mountain, I know I'm never coming down. No, I'm never coming down. I'm never coming down again. I drank the water of this haunted mountain, saw a younger reflection in the falls. The river rose around me, I was swept up in an eddy. I drifted a mile and nearly drowned. All of my life I've been around it, traveling across this green land. But now that I live here on this haunted mountain, I know I'm never coming down. Oh, I'm never coming down. I'm never coming down again.
Buck Meek, welcome to eTown. You managed to not get struck by lightning at Red Rocks. That was impressive.
There was lightning during our guitar solos.
Yeah.
On cue, every solo.
That's going to make some dramatic video if you caught any. But yeah, Red Rocks is always hit or miss. Seems like if there's going to be big weather, it always happens there. But anyway, I hope it was a beautiful experience for you guys playing there.
It was the most beautiful venue we've ever played.
Isn't it the most incredible thing? Those rock walls and
yeah, it blew us away.
Yeah, and all the energy just coming right downhill, right to the stage. It's just unique that way.
Yeah, it felt like a liftoff, like a spaceship liftoff.
Yeah,
from the stage, it's like this ascension.
Yeah. Well, congratulations, because that's not an experience that most bands get to have.
Yeah, we're super lucky.
And it's a long way from Wimberly, Texas, where you grew up.
That's true.
But that's certainly a musical spot.
Yeah, there's a lot of great musicians that came out of Wimberly or have moved there.
Did you have Sarah Jarosa's dad as your science teacher at any point?
I missed him as a science teacher, but we saw each other every Friday at Charlie's Catfish Restaurant. There was a bluegrass jam behind the Catfish place in this little pavilion, and Sarah was there ever since she was a little kid.
Right. Yeah.
And Donna Bailey and Mike Bond and a bunch of incredible older bluegrass musicians.
Yeah, it's cool. I come from that bluegrass world, and played all the Old Settlers festivals and and Kerrville and did that many times.
Yeah, I grew up going to Kerrville since I was a kid.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Cool. So did you, is that where you first, obviously I should explain to our listeners that Kerrville is in West Texas, and it's a festival that lasts for a week, and people just hang out and camp and campfires and sing and play. And
yeah, actually 3 weeks, 18 days.
3 weeks.
Every summer,
right, yeah.
3 weekends. And yeah, it's just this incredible songwriting festival out in the Texas Hill Country, kind of on the precipice of the desert in the hill country there. And a really beautiful collection of songwriters. So I grew up going to there and started going there as a guitar player, as I was playing a lot of manouche jazz and ragtime with these old jazz players in Wimberly, Slim Ritchie and Django Porter.
Oh, yeah. Slim's was a really good friend of mine.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
All right.
I knew Slim for, since my early 20s.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Slim had a camp out at Kerrville called Camp Peckerwood.
Camp Peckerwood,
And
yeah.
it was kind of like the ragtime jazz camp. And so
Yeah.
that's what brought me out there as a kid. But then I fell in love with songwriting, out just, soaking up all the beautiful songs out there. I started writing under the tree up on Chapel Hill. And
Yeah. Well, what's unique about Kerrville is that it really is song focused. It's obviously there's picking, there's playing, there's all that stuff. But unlike a bluegrass festival, the songs win.
That's true.
And there's an opportunity to really internalize that. And I guess there's not necessarily a spirit of competition, but you want to be a songwriter if you go to Kerrville when you're a kid.
That's true. Yeah, there's a real reverence for the song. People really listen there. There's just hundreds of campfires around the ranch, and people, professional songwriters, but mostly, people who work as masons or carpenters or whoever, doctors. They come and they bring their guitars and they sing, and it's an environment where everyone can sing and be heard.
So how do you take that energy, focus on the song, focus on the humanity of that to Berklee College of Music? Because that's really about technique and skills and composition and
that's true.
interaction.
There was a bit of a rub there. When I was in junior high, I fell in love with the blues. I was washing dishes at this Mexican restaurant in Wimberly, and the bartender was this kick-ass blues guitar player from Memphis, and he took me under his wing. I was his rhythm guitar player. And then in high school, I fell in love with manouche jazz with Slim and Django Porter, and so. But my experience playing blues and jazz was all in these ice houses around the Texas Hill Country, at Slim's house for his big birthday parties out in Rolling Oaks, and square dances and Riley's on the Backbone, and it was always for dancing and for people celebrating. And then I fell in love with jazz, and I went to Berklee to continue my study in jazz. But as soon as I got there, I don't know, it was a very different environment than I grew up in. Much more competitive and almost like a sport. Virtuosity was more quantified there. And so it took me a minute to find my way at Berklee. It took me a couple years to find the professors that I really resonated with, and the students that I think were in having a similar experience to me, who maybe went there with an idea and then kind of had an existential crisis, and to some degree just started writing songs to create their own identity.
Were there a lot of other songwriters at Berklee, or again was it? I think of that program of study as being more focused on technique and intellect.
Yes, the program is definitely based in technique and intellect, but I think something that's really special about Berklee is so many students go there to study jazz or whatever, and then they start writing songs in their dorms or after class, skipping class to write songs and start bands. And so there's all these incredible players who they're growing up and they're experiencing their first loves and their existential crisis and starting to write songs. And so I was part of a really amazing community there that ended up moving to New York and became the Big Thief community and all the bands that we came up with.
I knew the moment that I saw you that my life would never be the same. You drew a flower on my face, my heart's bruised as you flew away. I didn't know you then, though my love grew. My love knew everything. 1 year until we met again by a green river where we first held hands. In midnight, silver and white, we found the truth of the sands. I didn't know you then, Though my love grew, my love knew everything. I didn't know you then. Though my love grew, my love knew everything. First kiss felt like home, with tears in our eyes. And now 1,000 kisses later, each one feels like the first time. I didn't know you then, though my love grew, my love knew everything. I didn't know you then, though my love grew, my love knew everything.
Yeah, that's right.
And my son-in-law was in a band called Woods, and there's
nice.
that whole Brooklyn scene was, the Williamsburg, Greenpoint scene seemed very vibrant and cool, and
It was
lots of interaction.
It was incredible for us. There was so many incredible bands cross-pollinating.
Yeah.
We were playing shows every day at the Manhattan Inn and all the spots around Bushwick at the time, and it was such a supportive community of musicians.
Well, now, and of course, Big Thief is headlining, sold out tours, huge venues, 4-piece band. It's you're very, very exposed, to be playing those kinds of venues. It's just the four of you. And it's a beautiful thing to be able to achieve that connection where that many people can resonate with your songs and your lyrics and feel that personal connection to each of you, because as I say, you're all right there, but it must feel great to have achieved that level of success.
It feels definitely confirming in that I don't think we've ever compromised our work for that exposure,
Right.
Somehow the four of us each have our own perspective into that, and we've kept each other in check to never bend, and to just be very real and vulnerable, and to see that people I think come for that more than anything is really confirming.
Yeah. Well, and of course, and you and Adrian have also had solo records and solo projects throughout, and you've got a brand new one.
That's true.
Coming out. And I just wanted to ask you a little bit about the percentage of songs that you write that you share with Big Thief as a community, saying, hey, here's a song I wrote.
Oh, yeah.
As opposed to songs you write that you say, oh, this is mine. This is going to be for my project.
Well, whenever Adrian and I first started playing together as a duo, we were mixing our songs and co-writing a lot.
Yeah.
And just performing under our names together.
Yeah.
And then at some point we split our writing projects. And so Big Thief, the idea was for Big Thief to be her writing project primarily, and for Buck Meek to be mine. And so most of the songs on the Big Thief records are Adrianne's at heart.
Yeah.
Sometimes she'll bring an unfinished song to the band and we'll kind of adapt it a little bit. And there's a handful of co-writes that her and I collaborated on, I think Two Hands and Certainty from the last record, and there's a couple others.
Yeah. So you've got you need an outlet.
Yeah, but for the most part, my project is my outlet for my own songs.
Help me catch a bird in the meadow. We'll hold it so gently as you write the words I can't to the one who has vanished or died. Saving my tears in a bottle, saving my nickels and dimes to give to the old necromancer who knows how to read and to write. Dipping your quill into my well, tears fall as you write. His wings will carry my words so heavy to the sky. The storm is rolling in slowly. We'll draw a circle on the ground. Take my words, little bird, to call upon the lover of clouds. Twisting all the branches, feel the lightning in the air. Shadows born, its faces form everywhere. Fly your 5 directions home. Fly with eyes closed. Take my words, little bird, though sing a song you know. Help me catch a bird in the meadow. We'll hold it so gently as you write the words I can't to the one who has vanished.
I read a part of an article that I thought was really fascinating, talking about your process, how you come to songwriting from an internal perspective, and how you try to find almost an unconscious awareness to let some of those lyrics float through. And it also talked about something which I found remarkable, which was the fact that you like to go swimming in the ocean in the dark.
Oh, that's true.
So tell me why and what that's like.
Well, there was a bioluminescent tide a couple years ago in the Pacific, and so I was able to swim every night for like a week with this bioluminescent, like neon blue.
Yeah, it would follow your movements and illuminate the water.
But often I'll swim on a full moon because I surf, and the breaks in California are very crowded, but at nighttime they're completely empty. So if you go out with a buddy by moonlight, you have a whole break to yourself.
And tell me about how scary that is there's the fundamental unknown, which is what's under the water.
Yeah.
And when it's dark, that must be amplified.
It's terrifying for sure, but what I love is when you're surfing, a big part of surfing is just trying to read the swell and read the changing.
Yeah.
Because the every wave is changing. It's constantly, the tide is changing and the swell is changing, the wind direction, and of course the waves come in sets, and you have to kind of keep track of the sets and the length and the lull in between and everything. And in the daytime, you can see all that, so there's a lot of visual information. But at night, you don't have any visual information, so you just have to feel all of that information.
Yeah.
And you can't really see the wave coming, so suddenly you just feel the swell kind of build, and then it's a good practice.
And how does that influence your creative impulse, or how does that translate? Because I imagine, there is that sort of being conscious of that creative energy coming through you and noticing when it happens, almost like you're noticing the swell in the dark.
Definitely. Yeah, I think intuition intuition is really important to me in the creative process
Yeah.
and in life as well. But in songwriting, I'll often start a song intuitively with just kind of word sounds, mumbles, and
Yeah.
I'll just kind of like let sounds roll around in my mouth until words start to form subconsciously. And then once I find a melody or some sounds that feel good, I'll then step back and start to analyze that and create a narrative. But usually let the subconscious move first.
And is the song, for example, Haunted Mountain, is that something you wrote during being sequestered during COVID and hiding somewhere up in Topanga Canyon or something like that? What's the story of that song?
Well, that's the song actually that I was at my friend Jolie Holland's house.
Okay.
Great songwriter. She's been my hero since I was a kid. And she has a song circle in Los Angeles every once in a while.
Yeah.
And she had sang a couple verses of that song that was unfinished.
I see.
And I couldn't get it out of my head for like a year. I was singing it all year long. And so I asked her, like, hey, is that song finished? Like, and she asked me if I would help her finish it. So she sent me the first two verses and the chorus, and I wrote that third verse.
Yeah. But for most of the songs on this new record, where were you when you were writing them? Was this the last few years, or is it more recent?
It was
than that?
all in the last couple of years. I was living up at the top of the mountain, in the Santa Monica mountain range, and I just went to the garden every day and wrote. I tried to have a discipline and just write every day.
Sounds like Donovan in some ways.
I did love Donovan growing up. I had a Donovan period.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Steve Earle told me that he had a Donovan period too, because he recognizes that girls like Donovan songs, and when he was growing up, it's like they liked them more than Townes Van Zandt songs.
I wish I could have been a fly on the wall watching Steve Earle and his Donovan period.
Yeah. But I like that image of you going to the garden with your guitar and just seeing what happens.
I just went to the garden because it's the only place on the property with no cell phone service.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I think that distraction is definitely like my worst enemy in creativity. So,
well, that's a generational thing that's new. You know, the idea that technology can get in the way of your experience, because you grew up with cell phones.
That's true.
And you grew up knowing that at any moment you could have dialogue with lots of other people.
Yeah.
And so it has to be a discipline to create intentional space where there's no dialogue, you know?
I think it's really important, for me at least, in the creative process, to turn the phone off or go somewhere where there's no service.
Yeah.
And I don't really believe in like waiting for inspiration. I believe in just putting yourself in a focused workflow and
it's there
and warming into the process, you know? And definitely one of the most important things for me in that is removing distraction. But at the same time, I try to embrace the technology, because there is some pretty cool technology for writing. Like there's some incredible rhyming dictionaries like Rhyme Zone, and there's some really fun ones that, you know, you create backwards text, and you can create a lot of games with the phone.
Well, also just being able to record your idea
huge.
that you just, I mean, that's,
Yeah.
that would that, you know, people my age could have had that back in the day. It's
Yeah.
like, what was that great idea? What was that great melody? What was that great chord change I just had? Oh,
Yeah.
damn it, you know.
That's true.
So-
although I watched that Paul McCartney and Rick Rubin documentary.
Yeah.
And the thing that really stuck with me was Paul talking about how when they were kids, Paul and John would, the reason they wrote such catchy songs is because they didn't have a way to record it. So they had to write really catchy stuff so they could remember it the next day.
That's interesting. Yeah. Well, so you're going to go out on tour. You have your own band. You've got, you know, an opportunity to go out and be the guy who is fronting the band and singing your songs. And did you record your record in California mostly? Or?
I actually recorded Haunted Mountain at Sonic Ranch Studio in Texas.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Back in your home territory.
Yeah, out in Tornillo on the border there.
Yeah.
Incredible studio.
Yeah, well, you know what? It's funny because studios they come in every shape and every size, and a lot of it has to be about just the hang and whether you're comfortable there. And
Sonic Ranch, in regards to distraction, that's a really good place to disconnect from the rest of the world, because it's this incredible studio in this old hacienda on this gigantic pecan orchard, like 30,000 acres or something. And it's this little oasis in the desert. And you feel completely disconnected from society out there. It's really easy to focus.
How long can you go there without needing to go into town?
Well, Big Thief was there for a month. I think we only left once.
Wow.
But yeah, went a little stir crazy for sure.
Well, listen, good luck. It's really great to meet you. Great to spend a little time. Congratulations on a great show at Red Rocks. And good luck on your solo tour and with your new record.
Thanks so much.
Yeah.
Cheers. I wrote that song with my friend Jolie Holland. She wrote the first 2 verses in the chorus, and I wrote that 3rd verse. And here's another one that we wrote together called Paradise. Tell me, baby, what was that you said? What was that you said? You said something about paradise, and it shot straight through me. Sweet baby, lightning struck me twice. Lightning struck me twice. You stopped my heart when you said something about paradise. You can talk about it, I see it in your eyes. Tell me about living in the afterlife. A home in roses made of light. I see it in your eyes. Tell me how you got heaven in your eyes. Heaven in your eyes. I fell into the black hole with a hot flux of hazel. Tell me how you got heaven in your eyes. Heaven in your eyes. I nearly died when I fell into the halo. You can talk about it, I see it in your eyes. Tell me about living in the afterlife. A home in roses made of light. I see it in your eyes. You can talk about it, I see it in your eyes. Tell me about living in the afterlife. A home in roses made of light. I see it in your eyes. I see it in your eyes. I see it in your eyes.